Wednesday, May the 8th, and as we do every Wednesday around this time, we do a little segment we call Coffee with the Councillor, where we invite somebody from around the Kamloops City Council table to join us and speak to some of what's going on. And this week, our guest joining me here in studio is Kamloops Councillor and Deputy Mayor for the month. It is Kelly Hall. Kelly, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff. Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to come in. Obviously, it was a pretty interesting day at City Council chambers yesterday with the report from the Municipal Advisor, former Mayor of Abbotsford there, Henry Braun, putting forth a pretty scathing report against the mayor. Obviously, the whole report kind of looking at the action, the interaction, the working togetherness between council and the mayor. I guess I'll just start with what your overall thought was personally, or as the I guess spokesperson for council on this. I feel like there's a bit of a feeling of vindication here for those who have been frustrated with the mayor's antics over the course of the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's. Henry put a lot of time and effort into the report, as we all know. When the municipal affairs ministers assigned Henry, we spent a lot of time talking to him, as you know. So for me, it was very revealing. There is a sense of vindication, if you will, because on council, over the last 17 months, we've had to deal with this individual, and we've talked to many people in the community, with respect to the challenges that we're faced with on a daily basis. And the report, as pointed as it was, identifies some of the challenges, some behavioral challenges that our mayor has.
Mm-hmm. Now, Councillor Middleton ended up putting forward the motion asking the mayor to resign in the wake of this report, and I have a strong feeling that's not going to happen. Obviously, there's nothing binding towards this. Was that something that was expected yesterday, or did that kind of come out of the blue?
Yeah, no, I think, at the end of the day, when we took a look at that, I know individually, I took a look at a couple of things that, made me vote the way I did. When you take a look at the report and you look at the responsibilities in the community charter that are outlined, of the mayor must, for example, the mayor must provide leadership. He must reflect the will of council, communicate and inform council. Unfortunately, our mayor doesn't check any of those boxes off. And then when you go further into that report, I think it's Appendix A or B, and you talk about the oath of office, is the mayor qualified to sit as a mayor? The word qualified, I think, has to be, and this is when, the provincial government needs to, stand in and take a look at the qualifications. Is he qualified? Does he abide by the rules of conflict of interest? Will he carry out the duties with integrity? Will he be respectful of others? Will he be accountable for his decisions and actions? That's what led me to vote the way I voted. And I'm sure most of council would probably, echo those comments as well.
Well, I guess there's a bit of a slippery slope, I would say, if you start worrying about the definition of qualified, just in the sense that, you want to encourage anyone to run for public office. You don't want to say, oh, you have an interest in how serving your community? Well, you can't because of A, B, C, or D. I don't have a specific, point, I guess, to these at the end of the day, but it's just, I'd be a little bit nervous about having a, checklist for who can run for office.
Yeah, I honestly think, and I said this at the onset when I was elected, that municipal government is perhaps the most difficult of all levels of government to run for and to govern. Mm-hmm. Because you're in your community, and we've seen federal downloading, we've seen provincial downloading, and I think honestly, gone are the days where you can have a person that wants to do right for the community, run for city council or mayor. They have to have some qualifications. And I think what we're seeing with this particular report, and there are some guidelines and some recommendations in that report that recommend that the provincial government needs to take a look at the qualifications.
Mm-hmm. One of the other recommendations that I know was put forth, and even Henry Braun himself, when speaking to it, said, hey, I don't know if this is a path that council would even consider going down, but it's just a suggestion I sort of put forth within my report, and that was talk about remuneration or salary, and withholding some of that pending, I guess, following through with the requirements and the expected conduct of a counselor. And I guess the only concern I would have with that is, sometimes, and you've seen this in other municipalities, of course, over recent history, sometimes you need to ruffle some feathers. And I would want to not distract or deter someone from maybe taking action that they should out of fear of losing salary. I guess because I don't know if council is even going to consider going down this path, but I'm just curious to kind of get your 2 cents on that particular recommendation. Is that something that does make sense to you, or would that be a motion that maybe is a reach too far?
I think we've got to take a look at all the recommendations in that report, and Henry's made that recommendation with respect to remuneration for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. There's a certain amount of work that is being downloaded to councillors. Okay, so whether you're a deputy mayor or even if you're just a councillor, attending all these different types of meetings that we're attending on a regular basis, out in the community on a regular basis. I mean, that's the common, daily routine for our council. But there's more being asked of us, to step in. So, I mean, Henry made those recommendations for obvious reasons. I think it's something that we're probably going to have to take a look at and consider. There's other situations that come into play that present an opportunity for us to look at sanctions, perhaps. Maybe that's taking a look at committees. Is he representing the will of council? Is he communicating with council? He's got an opportunity in front of him, okay, to take a look at the behavioral challenges that are outlined, okay, in the report, to make significant changes. The onus is on him to recognize that there's some challenges that he, presents, in the environment that he currently is in. And it's up to him to make those changes.
Do you see a path forward here in being able to work together collectively as a group of 9, or do you feel like maybe that has been severed now and maybe will be difficult moving forward? I know it's been a difficult, 17 months, 18 months, whatever it has been, 19 months at this point since the election first occurred, and it hasn't happened to this point. And probably the hope or optimism that it might go down that path is low, but just do you see it as being even possible?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. The challenge that I know some of us on council have, it's outlined in the reports and some of the top challenges that we see. I think it was item number 14 where Henry reflects on the fact that in 1 minute the mayor is saying something and the other minute he's saying something else, and there's no real correlation between what he's saying. There's no real truth in the matter of what he's saying. So personally, I have a challenge with that. But I'm open to work with anybody on council. And I think in the report you see that Henry says that, we have a very healthy council and the debate and the engagement is good. We don't always agree, mm-hmm. but we know when we make a decision, it's the will of council that moves forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you all agreed that wouldn't be good for business, it wouldn't be good for decision making. We know you need someone to play devil's advocate at the very least. Even if you don't always believe what you're saying, sometimes you got to bring forward the other side of the point and just have that discussion. So it was mentioned several times. I remember specifically Councillor Newstater mentioning it several times, basically saying, look, our council does work together. This hasn't prevented us from doing business. It was obviously stressed several times yesterday for a reason, because there has to be some belief in the community that as you go through this sort of back and forth and this butting of heads with council and the mayor, that it is detracting and it is distracting from actually getting work accomplished. And I know councillors, like whether it's yourself or anyone else I've ever had in here for this segment, heck, even the mayor himself for that matter, has tried to say, look, we are still doing work, even though maybe the discussion that you're hearing publicly isn't about the work we're doing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate I'm here today, to talk about the report, but it is what it is. Reality is we have a problem. And with respect to Councillor Newstater's comments, I think she was making reference to this is not a dysfunctional council. It's not, and I echo those comments as well. We have a dysfunctional person in the chair, okay, in the city hall. He has a hard time working with individuals around the horseshoe. Has a hard time working with city staff, So, I mean, he's got an opportunity in front of him, okay, and I hope he grabs onto it and recognizes the need for change, because we'll continue to work on the good things that we're doing. And it was identified in the report from Henry Braun that council is engaged in doing some good work. And I'd sooner come here and talk about the Build Kamloops strategies that we're embarking on and that we're moving forward on. I'd sooner talk about how complex care came to Kamloops through the advocacy of the Safety and Security committee. How next week we're going down to talk to Minister Farnsworth with respect to a couple of topics that we've identified, again, through a committee report. Those are the things that council needs to continue to do to make the city better for everybody.
What is, in your opinion, as you've gone to, different events throughout the province, we just had SILGA here last week, the Southern Interior Local Government Association, you got your UBCMs. Obviously, there's just advocacy that goes on through other channels as well. What is the reputation right now of our community based on how things have functioned at the municipal level over the last year and a half?
Excellent question. There's a sense of people understand what's going on within our community. They understand the challenge and where the challenge lies. It doesn't lie with council. Okay, it lies with one individual. And people, whether you're at UBCM, whether you're in, SILGA, whether it's upcoming, meetings that we have, they understand that we have a significant challenge with the person that sits in that chair.
Yeah, I just hope it is viewed in a certain light and not, taken as kind of the reflection of the city as a whole, because we know what happens in politics, right? You isolate a whole group of people because you don't like one person. We see it happen all the time, and it's really unfortunate. It's really sad, right? Like you see sometimes at the provincial level, I would actually love to give you money for this, but I really don't like Jim. So you know what? I'm actually not going to work with you guys.
But I think what I can say is you have such a strong council and a very vocal council. We're working very hard on our strategic plan, to try to accomplish, the pillars that we've presented in our strategic plan. And we've got, people represented on FCM. Nancy Beppel's doing a great job on FCM. Stephen Karpuk is advocating strongly for, Build Kamloops. I could go on and on with the rest of the councillors, but we have a very strong voice throughout the province because of the council.